Honorable Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, Honorable Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mbetemwilu, Honorable Chief Justices and Heads of Delegation from the Republic of Burkina Faso, the Republic of Burundi, the Republic of Benin, the Federal Republic of Brazil, the COMESA Court of Justice, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the State of Eritrea, the East African Court of Justice, the Republic of Ghana, Republic of the Gambia, the Kingdom of Lesotho, the Republic of Malawi, Republic of Mauritius, Republic of Mozambique, the Kingdom of Morocco, Republic of Niger, the Republic of Sierra Leone, Republic of South Sudan, Republic of South Africa, Republic of the Sudan, Federal Republic of Somalia, United Republic of Tanzania, Republic of Togo, Republic of Uganda, Republic of Zambia, Zanzibar, Republic of Zimbabwe, other representatives from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Republic of Chad, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Guinea, and other delegates, Honorable Deputy Chief Justices present, the Judicial Service Commission, senior government officials, the Agenel Board, heads of judiciary training institutes, judges, judicial officers, excellency ambassadors, heads of missions, and members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, members of the academy, members of the press, our delegates following us virtually, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, there have been deliberations here in Nairobi at the 3rd Regional Symposium on Greening Judiciaries in Africa, resulting in the Nairobi communique. With your permission, sir, I will present the joint communique of the 3rd Regional Symposium on Greening Judiciaries in Africa, incorporating the 3rd Chief Justices Symposium on Environmental Law, the 3rd General Conference of the Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law, as deliberated here at the Safari Park Hotel. I will read with your permission, sir. We, Chief Justices, Deputy Chief Justices, Presidents and Judges of Apex and Regional Courts, Judges, Magistrates, Heads of Tribunals, Directors of Judiciary Training Institutes, and other duly authorized representatives and judicial delegations of the 32 judiciaries that are members of the Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law, attending the 3rd Regional Symposium on Greening Judiciaries in Africa, themed Strengthening the Role of Judiciaries in Addressing Climate Change in Africa, at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, which further incorporated the 3rd Chief Justices Symposium on Environmental Law and the 3rd General Conference of the Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law, AGENEL, acknowledging that the effects of climate change have become pervasive on the continent of Africa, despite being the lowest contributor of global greenhouse gas emissions at 2 to 3%, disproportionately suffers and bears the brunt of the effects of climate change. Deeply aware that the lives, livelihoods, socioeconomic activities, and development of most communities in the continent are dependent on stable and predictable climate and weather patterns to sustain their ways of life, such as pastoralism, subsistence agriculture, and other activities. Conscious that the effects of climate change are transboundary in nature and the impact of such changes are felt across the African continent's ecosystems and globally, further conscious that the disruptive effects of climate change amplify the existing socioeconomic inequalities in the continent, and that women, girls, and other vulnerable groups and categories of persons are the most negatively impacted by the drought, famine, floods, and other climate-based factors. Recalling that the United Nations General Assembly on 28 July 2022, during its 76th session, took the step of recognizing the human right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment as a universal right to every human being. further recalling that a loss and damage fund for vulnerable countries affected by floods, drought, and other climate disasters was established during the 27th session of the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27, which was held in November 2022 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, recognizing the need to ensure accountability of polluters and that the loss and damage fund reaches the most vulnerable communities and individuals in the affected countries in accordance with the set objectives of the fund. Noting that tackling climate change requires a collaborative, multidisciplinary, and multi-sectoral approach, with every arm of the government playing a role as reflected in Agenda 2063 of the African Union, the Africa we want, mindful that judiciaries remain custodians of constitutions, supreme laws, and statutes. Further, that judiciaries are grantors of access to justice with a mandate to ensure accountability and fidelity to constitutional and legal principles and the domestic enforcement of regional and international conventions and commitments on the environment and climate change. Committed to strengthening the capacities of judiciaries to foster access to justice, to develop and disseminate progressive and contextual jurisprudence, and to leverage on the information and experiences of states on climate change matters, further recognizing the central role played by judiciary training institutes and development partners in greening judiciaries, educating judicial officers and staff, and being repositories of and sharing jurisprudence on climate change matters. Building on the progress achieved in mainstreaming and integrating climate change law in judiciaries and judicial training institutes pursuant to the Johannesburg Plan of Action of January 2017, the Yaoundé Final Communique on Judicial Education and Environmental Law of February 2018, and the Maputo Declaration on Greening Judiciaries in Africa of August 2018. Drawing from the deliberations and commitments from the previous joint conferences, have agreed to strengthen the role of judiciaries in addressing climate change in Africa as follows. 1. On capacity development and knowledge management. Encourage judiciary training institutes to develop and integrate modules on environment and climate change in their curricula, and to further use the relevant material developed to assist in training on environment and climate change. Judiciary training institutes to actively seek collaborations with other disciplines, professions, and sectors in order to have a multidisciplinary and collaborative approach to the development of capacity in handling environment and climate change matters. Support judiciaries in the development of transformative jurisprudence on climate change, including on the rights of women and other vulnerable groups, on traditional and indigenous knowledge on environment and climate change. Call upon the judiciaries and judiciary training institutes to utilize available platforms facilitated by RGNL to share the jurisprudence, information, and experiences for learning and growth. Encourage judiciaries to leverage on technology to handle climate change matters, network, and share jurisprudence, information, and experiences, including establishing repositories of decisions on climate change and online trainings. Further encourage countries to support judiciaries in sensitizing judicial officers and staff and the public who are the rights holders using innovative and effective methods, including by producing audio-visual productions on climate change. 2. Call upon the executive and legislative branches of the member states to develop progressive policies and laws and reforms thereof aimed at combating climate change, including on climate financing and establishment of courts and tribunals to handle environment and climate change matters. Your Excellency, Sir, number 3, urge the executive and legislatures to develop measures and frameworks that will enhance the enforcement of decisions by the judiciaries. 4. Further urge executive and legislatures to embrace broad consultations in the development of legal frameworks for environment and climate change governance. call upon member states to consider the transboundary nature of climate change factors and develop appropriate regional frameworks to combat climate change. 6, urge judiciaries to enhance access to justice in environmental and climate change matters, including embracing alternative justice systems and alternative dispute resolution mechanisms in the resolution of matters related to the environment and climate change. Further, urge judiciaries to deliberate and develop guidelines to enforce orders given by courts to remedy violations that affect the right to a clean and healthy environment, including the climate. 8, encourage the United Nations Environment Programme, the Global Judicial Institute on the Environment, and other partners to continue supporting the development and implementation of programs designed to improve the knowledge and skills of judicial officers and staff in climate change law and principles. Your Excellency, Sir, we have also agreed to remain seized of the matters discussed in this 3rd symposium and to organize the next symposium in collaboration with member states, the United Nations Programme, the Africa Judicial Training Network on Environmental Law, and other partners to support also the next symposium. Number 10, urge judiciaries and judiciary training institutes to take necessary measures and steps to implement commitments reached during this 3rd symposium on greening judiciaries in Africa. Finally, Your Excellency, Sir, we convey our sincere gratitude to the Government of the Republic of Kenya for hosting and organizing the 3rd Regional Symposium on Greening Judiciaries in Africa, together with the Government of the Federal Republic of Germany, the Kingdom of Denmark, the United Nations Environment Programme, the International Commission of Jurists Kenya, and the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, for their support. This symposium, Your Excellency, is dated at Nairobi this 5th day of April, 2023. With your permission, Excellency, Sir, I will call for ratification of the communique by way of consensus. So if we all concede to the communique, we will declare it passed. With your permission, Excellency, Sir, the Nairobi communique is duly ratified. A round of applause. Allow me, Your Excellency, Sir, now to invite Honorable Justice Smokin Wanjala, Justice of the Supreme Court and Director of the Kenya Judiciary Academy, to give us his remarks. My Lord Judge.